I want to talk to Steve, who's calling in from Arizona, who is saying that Christian nationalists are using the Bible, which you don't think they believe in, as a means of gaining power. Tell me more about that, Steve.
Yeah, well, after that last call, that's a hard act to follow, I got to tell you. But
It is a hard act to follow, but I
is,
believe in you, Steve. I think you can do it. Go ahead.
yeah, okay, I'm freaked out about this Christian nationalism. I think, especially what's happened with the Supreme Court, and into powerful positions in the government. And on top of that, I just started watching The Handmaid's Tale, and now I'm really freaked out because that's a playbook for the Christian nationalist movement. I mean, my God, it's just like they're following that thing. I mean, I'm freaked out.
Yeah,
Out.
I agree with you, Steve. It's like you look at the posts, especially from like fundamentalist blogs and stuff, and when they talk about what they think an ideal society is, it is just like a hierarchy between like men and women. Like they literally want women to be like, barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen, right? Like that's kind of their MO. And they just I don't know, they don't let go of that. They don't back down when challenged on that. They're like, no, this is exactly what we want. So I don't know what's up with
Well,
that.
I think
Go ahead.
I think it's also a matter of economics, and that the billionaire, millionaire class, or whatever, that's able to these politicians, the people in power that they support, are fine with subjugating the rest of us. I know, like I don't know, a crazy thing, but I mean, let's face it, we're in a situation now where there is an economic disparity, and I think these people in power are going to use religion. They're going to use the Bible. They're going to use God as an excuse to completely, take over our system, and hopefully, we still have a hope. Maybe we can vote some sensible people into office. I don't know, but
Yeah, I agree. It's people who there's a lot of people who use religion very cynically, and it sounds like a conspiracy theory, but like you can really just look at perfect examples of this when you talk about former President Donald Trump, for example, who like, let's be real, probably got abortions himself, right? Like I imagine he did. He's from New York. He known to at least vote Democrat sometimes. And like when the abortion laws passed in this country, I haven't heard him say anything about it, like being a tragedy or being anything. I mean, like, if anything, he was an appointee for these justices that put these laws in, right? So, like, it's a very cynical thing, and I don't think 45 is particularly Christian in any sense of the word, but definitely appealed to that base, right? Like, how many evangelicals were tending to vote in that direction? I mean, I'm not. This isn't personal opinion. This is statistical information you can look at, right? Go ahead, Cynthia.
Well, I was also going to say that we do have examples throughout history of people
Mm,
using religion in order for them to gain and stay in power or to put people in
yeah,
power. This is exactly, something that happened, especially in Europe, in the Roman times, early medieval times, especially in the Catholic Church. We did see a lot of the kings and popes of the time, wash each other's hands in order to keep each other in power.
yeah.
Matter of fact, if you guys check out the next the nonprofits today, shameless plug, we're actually going to be talking about a frat boy pope, Pope John the 12th, who became pope at 17 years old, who was appointed there by his father, who was considered the Prince of Rome at the time.
Mm,
And the reason why he installed his child into the papacy is because they wanted their family to be able to rule that office as well for their own political gain. So
yeah,
this is not something that is new, right? And
right.
if we're looking specifically at like Christian nationalists, Christo fascists, however you want to call them today, they are coming out of a playbook specifically called the Operation Blitz, which
Yeah,
is them trying to utilize like a theocratical law to be placed mostly on the municipal and state level so that it can also influence federal law, which they were able to do specifically with the overturning of Roe v. Wade, to turn
Yeah.
this into a theocratal state. But they did that not necessarily because they were so into making this like a Christian utopia. They're doing it in order for them to stay in power. And but the thing about it is that it is a minority. It is a small minority that is very organized, and they've been actually hitting this bell for like a long time. I encourage you, Steve, to look up Jerry Falwell and how he kind of
Yeah.
made a pivot specifically into overturning Roe v. Wade. And a lot of it was because he was threatening. Well, the government was threatening to take away his school status specifically for tax exemption because he wouldn't let Black students into Liberty University. So there was a pivot to actually say, well, what other issue can we bring up at this particular time to actually have power? And it was, the overturning of abortion laws, which also brought in a slew of other different things that they really wanted to turn this into a theocratical state. But it's all really about power. It's not necessarily about
Right.
pleasing Jesus or even like the good of the people, because we actually have seen since overturning of Roe v. Wade how harmful the laws from the states have become since like the time that this happened. I think of the 10-year-old girl that was raped, who had to go to Indiana to get an abortion because she couldn't get it done in her home state of Ohio. There's another story that was coming out that a 16-year-old girl was considered that she cannot have an abortion because she's not considered mature, or even like another person not being able to think about like actually having like an abortion because the fetus is actually has only a half a skull, but they're trying to make her have the baby. So we're seeing like a lot of damage that's being happening from these particular laws. And yes, it is scary. I'm not really sure what the solution is, but I know that it takes people who are level-headed mind like you and I and Dan and the like to really push back against this.
Yeah, definitely. Steve, what do you think?
Well, I totally agree with you that these people trying to push the theocracy on us are in the minority, but they are able to still get a lot of control. I mean, look at the January 6th insurrection. They were able to, they were very close, I think, to killing. I mean, it's like I said, I'm scared. And our electoral college system certainly makes it possible for somebody who does not even get enough votes to win the election to still, take the presidency. We've seen that happen, more than once. So these are the things that scare me, and I'm afraid that these people using the religious or theocracy or the Bible in order to get power, they don't really believe that these things. They just are using it as a propaganda tool to get people on their side. So
yeah,
I don't know what to do.
If there's any positive in this, Steve, I think I'm very critical of liberal people who are just like tolerant to religion by default, who are just like, yeah, just let people believe what they believe, and they just draw the line at that. Because like obviously, like I feel that way about most issues too, but like when it becomes a direct political problem, like we were seeing in the past couple of years, like I hope that if anything, this wakes them up to that. Now that the direct rights of women everywhere across this country have been stripped from, I hope that shows people like, hey, these people do mean business and they do want specific things for you, and they're not going to stop. They don't care about tolerating you. Like you can tolerate them as much as you want, but they don't care. And they're going to keep going with their agenda until that happens. So if anything, I hope that's a good take away from what's happening now. But I don't know. I don't know if that's going to be enough for people, because the propaganda in this country is strong about what Christianity has done for us and how we need it and how it's essential to our institutions to thrive, even though we've obviously been arguing against that for years. But Steve, we do have a bunch of other callers, and I do want to go ahead and get to those.
Okay,
But thank you so much for calling in and giving us your take on that, because I agree. It's a problem. Seems to be getting worse. So I don't know. We'll just keep doing call-in shows until that changes, right, Cynthia?
Right,
That's
Dan.
that's the most effective form of activism you can possibly take, is create call-in shows on the internet, I think, personally. But
Creating
anyway,
positive discourse, creating good
creating
discourse
positive,
to talk about
yeah.
these. Yes.
It helps me sleep a little better at night, at least. I don't know. It's hard. I wish I could do more, but